If it wasn't obvious from my channel tagline, I am a sucker for tiny cameras. I have a lot of tiny cameras, it's a little bit of a problem. So naturally, I was super excited when DJI announced the new Osmo Pocket 3. I've bought every single one of the previous Osmo Pockets, so I couldn't help myself when DJI announced the new Osmo Pocket 3, and I just had to pick one up for myself. So let's get this thing out of the box and see what's inside. My first reaction to seeing this is that it is significantly larger than the Pocket 2. It's a little bit hard to see this on camera, but I'm going to try to demonstrate how different in size these actually are. There's also quite a few physical differences between them, which I feel like haven't necessarily been pointed out in a lot of their marketing and other videos I've seen. So I want to give you a better sense about the actual differences between the Pocket 2 and the Pocket 3. Let's start with the side-by-side view of the base versions of both of these models. Pocket 2, Pocket 3. Already right here, you can see the 3 is significantly larger. It's also a lot thicker as well. Now, you may have noticed that I'm actually missing the little bottom cap here. We'll get back to that later. It's an interesting but different problem. But these are how they come out of the box with no other accessories attached. What I mean by that is that there's actually a lot of differences in the base functionality before you start attaching things. Now, I always had this little extension attached to the Pocket 2, because you basically need to have this if you're going to be using the Wi-Fi or a wireless microphone with it. This also has a tripod screw at the bottom, and it does not have a tripod screw at the bottom without that. So I never took this off. It just lived in here all the time. It even fits in the case with that little bit attached. The Pocket 3 also does not have a tripod screw on the bottom unless you attach the base. If you get the creator combo for the 3, then it comes with this battery base. This actually contains a battery in it and can charge the Pocket 3. That makes it a lot longer. Now, it also comes with a smaller version of this, which is not a battery base, and it only contains a tripod screw. This is just so you can mount it to a tripod base. I don't yet know whether I'm going to keep the battery base on it all the time or not, or just go with the one with the tripod screw. The big difference though is that you actually don't need the base on there in order to connect a wireless mic to this or use Wi-Fi. So that's already a huge improvement. But I usually do want to put this on a tripod, so I'm going to usually have at least the small tripod base on here all the time. And this is now getting to be pretty big. Again, it's a little bit hard to tell in the video, but this is just significantly thicker around compared to this one. It's noticeably different. So on the plus side, if you have large hands, you probably will like the 3 a lot better because it's significantly bigger screen. It's also a lot easier to just navigate these. This one is definitely a challenge if you have big fingers or a big hand. Although I will say my hands are not very big and I prefer the size of this one a lot. But back to some of the other feature differences between these two. It's interesting that the wireless module is an add-on on the 2, but it's built into the core on the 3. Which means you're really only gaining a battery if you're using the extra battery pack. One weird thing about the battery pack is that it is a battery. It is not giving it continuous power, as in this battery is charging the internal battery of the Pocket 3. So you're going to lose some efficiency there in the charge, and it also means you're kind of losing some of the internal battery life by charging it continuously like that. It would have been nice if it was continuously powering the 3 without going through the charging circuit just to make the battery last a little bit longer. Let's talk for a minute about the cases. Now, this is the case that came with the Pocket 2. Slips in there, easy to slip in and out, especially if you have the extra handle on. I always kind of use it as leverage to pop it out. Slips in pretty quick and slips out pretty quick. I will say this little thing that was supposed to hold the little lens attachment, it's magnetic. It kind of pops in there. I absolutely lost my wide angle lens a long time ago because it just dropped out of there at some point when I was carrying this around. This is also where the little attachments for the iPhone or USB-C slide in. Those also fell out at some point, and I don't have them anymore. The case for the Pocket 3 is massive. It's a beast. Now this one is a little bit harder to get in. You have to flip it over so the screen's down, which is good so the screen's protected. But you have to get this lined up exactly right so that the head fits in there so that this thing can't rotate. If it's up a little bit, this will slide around, which is not great. But if it's down all the way, it's locked in. With the little extension on it, again, you can use it as leverage to kind of slide it out and take it out of the case. It's not too bad. I just do find it a little bit more cumbersome to get this thing lined up to get it back in the case. But speaking of cases, the Pocket 3, at least with the Creator Combo, comes with a actual case as well for the whole bit of kit. Now this doesn't fit, obviously, so you do have to take the base off, and it actually doesn't really even fit when it's in its other case. So it's basically only for the times when you're going to put it in to that and not carry this piece around as well. All the other accessories have a little home inside this. There's the tripod that it comes with, the battery base, as well as the microphone, and then some room for cables up there. And this all zips up into a package that is small, but not tiny. Moving on to the tripod base. I'll just pop this out of here. The tripod base that comes with the Pocket 3 is this style. This is a completely different style of tripod than came with the 2 and even the 1 before that. This one has a nice wide base, lays flat on a table, and you can attach anything, but obviously the base, the battery base, or the other small attachment twists in there nice and easy. But let's look at this side by side compared to the Pocket 2. Now, sadly, I don't seem to be able to find my tiny tripod, so you'll have to use your imagination, but just compare this with the Pocket 3 to this one, the Pocket 2. Again, it's kind of hard to tell with that photo, but the Pocket 2 tripod is just basically sticks, rather than this one being a whole base. It's a whole base that's actually a lot more supportive, but it does mean you lose the extreme portability of the tiny one. The other big difference is that the tripod for the 3 is fixed. This part doesn't move. The tripod for the 2 actually has a pivot point at the bottom where the screw goes in, which is honestly both good and bad. The fact that it actually had a pivot point meant that it was actually a bit hard to get it tight enough, and you'd kind of have to use a coin to do that last little twist in. So it's nice that it doesn't have a pivot point on the 3. And the fact that this is actually a whole gimbal means you don't really need it to be able to tip anyway. You want it to be just straight up when it's on the tripod. Let's move on to microphones, because there's some pretty significant differences between the two microphones that pair with the Pocket 2 and the Pocket 3. This is the microphone for the Pocket 2, and this is the microphone for the Pocket 3. You might notice already there's some pretty big cosmetic differences, but it gets a lot deeper than that. I will also say the feel of the new one for the 3 is a lot better. This one for the 2 feels extremely light, almost too light. It feels like it shouldn't actually be a real thing. This one has a nice weight to it. On the back, they both have this clip, but the Pocket 3 now has this magnet. So you can actually, it's very strong. You can actually put this on the inside of your shirt, use that to clip it to the outside. You do have to then advertise DJI, but they do give you this fun, more fun design version as well. The name of the microphone for the Pocket 2 is called the DJI Wireless Microphone Transmitter. You can buy it separately or it came in the Creator Combo. This pairs with the Pocket 2. Later, DJI released a DJI Mic. This is a 2-channel mic kit, and I'm actually a big fan of it. It works really well, but it is not made for the Pocket series at all. It's just a wireless microphone. The receiver pops out and it has the ability to connect either a USB-C, a Lightning, or you can even just run analog output from this into a camera. So it's made for a smartphone, or you could plug it into the Pocket 3 over USB, or you could plug it into other USB cameras, or just run it into a mirrorless camera over the analog. It's a great little kit, comes with 2 transmitters, and they both have this magnet style clip as well. When DJI released the Pocket 3, they came out with a new version of the standalone microphone that pairs with the 3. This is called the DJI Mic 2. It is not a follow-up to the DJI Mic. It has nothing to do with it. Probably one of the more confusing names. This microphone only pairs with the Pocket 3. They should have just called it the Pocket 3 Mic instead of DJI Mic 2. I don't really know what they were thinking. But this microphone only works with this. One of the big differences between the Pocket 3 and the Pocket 2 is that this can now be paired with 2 microphones. However, as of the time I am filming this, there is no way to buy the DJI Mic 2 by itself. It only comes in the Creator Combo. I'm sure they'll fix that eventually. That's just how it is right now. I even went on chat support to ask them, and they did not know what I was talking about. It was very confusing. So you buy this with the Creator Combo, comes with 1 microphone. Theoretically in the future, you'll be able to buy this separately. The other huge difference between the microphone from the Pocket 3 and the Pocket 2, called the DJI Mic 2 and the DJI Wireless Mic, is that this one records internally and records in 32-bit float. I didn't see a lot of mention of that in most of the literature, but it is buried in the manual and there's a feature for it on the camera. If you go into the settings here, scroll to the wireless mic, I'll show you that's one is paired and there's room for another one. You can change a bunch of settings with the mic here, but importantly, there's a checkbox here for 32-bit float recording. In my opinion, you should always turn this on. Basically, it means that the recordings you get from this microphone, you won't have to worry about gain or levels at all, and you can edit it entirely in post without worrying about it. That is a huge feature that is added to this DJI Mic 2 that I hope to see come to the actual DJI Mic. It'd be really nice to get a 32-bit float version of this standalone kit as well. In reality, I never actually found it super useful to use the standalone microphone that comes with the DJI Pocket 2 because I, most of the time, wanted to record 2 people. Most of the time I was using the Pocket 2 either for things like interviews or vlogs with 2 people, or using it without recording any sound at all, like recording time lapses. So I am so excited that there will be the ability to eventually pair 2 of these microphones with the new one because I'm going to use that a ton for a bunch of filming that I'm going to do around the house here. I'm very curious to see how I end up actually carrying this around while I'm traveling because this feels a little bit bulky. It's a little bit too big for my pocket, but putting it into this case is a lot worse. So I don't know if I'm going to want to actually carry this around in a day bag or if I'll end up just going with this version in a day bag while also carrying the little tripod somehow. But this new Pocket 3 kit with the tripod and the tripod base is still quite a lot larger than the Pocket 2. So we'll see how it plays out in practice and how often I actually carry it with me and film little time lapses and vlogs as I'm out and about. This is obviously not a full review of the Pocket 3 versus the Pocket 2. In particular, I didn't really go into image quality at all. What I will say is that just right off the bat, I can tell that the pictures from this look a lot better than the 2. Once I've had a chance to actually use this while I'm out traveling, I'll include some sample footage in the video as well. But for now, we'll do a quick test in the studio here with my studio lighting, which is often actually not the best for these kinds of little small cameras. So this is a recording from the Pocket 2. Everything's in auto, and I'm actually using the audio from the lav mic here to give you a sense of that as well. This is, again, studio lighting. The lighting is good enough for the video for my main cameras. It can often come across a little bit harsh on the little Pocket and tiny cameras if you don't do a lot of tweaking of manual settings. So again, this is all in auto mode, so we'll see how this one looks. Let's go take a look at the 3. So this is a recording from the Pocket 3. This is, again, same lighting, same situation that I'm in. I'm using the lav mic that comes with the Pocket 3 Creator Combo to give you a sense of what this looks like in my studio lighting. Once again, I'll go do an outdoor test later. It is actually completely dark outside right now, so that's gonna have to wait for a future video. So even though I'm a little bit disappointed at how much larger the whole handle and base and everything is on the Pocket 3, I will say it is very nice to have a much bigger screen to work with. This one is tiny, and I didn't mind it too much, but it is always just a little bit hard to navigate and get your swipes exactly right. This one's quite a lot easier to move around on and actually navigate everything and adjust all your settings. Everything's just a lot larger on the screen. I kind of like the gesture of flicking that to turn it on and off, although I will say every time I try to push it the wrong way. I'm always like, oh, that's how it should turn on, and that's how it should turn off, but no, that's on. And then when I want to turn it off, I have to push it back up. Well, I hope this video has been helpful and it has given you a chance to see some of the more practical differences between the Pocket 2 and Pocket 3. Let me know down in the comments if you have any more questions. I'm going to use this a ton as I'm traveling. I'm actually going on a trip really soon, so I'll get a chance to shoot some time lapses and more fun videos while I'm out and about. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.